Today, a historic winter storm freezes Texas wind turbines, and the media fawns all over Joe Biden. You're not going to want to miss it, and it starts right now. Welcome to the News and Why It Matters. I'm Sarah Gonzalez, today joined by my friends, Jaco Booyens, host of the Jaco Booyens Show. Also, Elijah Schaffer, host of Slightly Offensive here on BlazeTV. As you can see, both of them are bundled up. Elijah, a little more so.
I just don't like layers, but I would do that.
You do have the fur.
I got the fur too. I got the fur. Let's go, PETA. But I'm feeling because I can do that jacket. I looked like that this morning when I was pulling my kids on a boogie board sledding.
Yes, yeah, it has been quite the 48 hours here in Texas. Obviously, we were not here yesterday because there were rolling power outages. The roads were insane. Elijah, you know a little bit too well about those power outages.
You said 48 hours. I was like, for some of us, it's been 72 or more hours because my heater failed under the climate very quickly a few days ago. So it slowly went down, and we live in a concrete apartment. So it is, I think last time I checked the thermostat at the house, I think it's like 9 degrees in the house right now.
Insane.
Inside.
Yeah.
I don't.
It's the water froze.
And you have animals.
Yeah, our soap froze. Like our soaps are frozen. Our waters in the house are frozen. Like everything's just frozen. The pipes don't work. It's like it's a dead zone. Yeah, and my hamster survived. He's alive still.
I'm really that is amazing. That is quite amazing. But I mean, seriously, you're not going to stay there?
No.
You can't stay there.
No. Jaco offered to let us stay at his house, but we also we got together with the neighbors, and there was actually an old lady that we were boiling water for her and stuff, and she looked like she was almost going to die. She didn't have any light, anything. She was just stuck in her house. Mm-hmm. So we cooked her some soup and brought her some candles and stuff. But I mean, people are really hurting.
I'm glad that you brought that up because you see the typical Northerners making fun of Southerners. Right, a lot of people on social media are like, "Oh, is it snowing in Texas? I haven't noticed all of you tweeting about it." And it's like, well, we're not tweeting about the snow. No. It's actually a very, very dire situation here. Millions are without power, as I said at the top of the show. There are freezing conditions that have obviously made the road dangerous. But not only that, now I hope that you guys can give me a good answer for this. Okay. Unfortunately, I think that perhaps there's not one.
It's a challenge.
This storm has knocked out half of Texas's installed wind power generation. So the wind turbines actually froze. So they are not working. And I guess my question is, and by the way, if you didn't know this, wind power is Texas's quickest growing energy infrastructure source. But I'm like, so we knew this was coming. Yep. We had time to make sure that proper, procedures were put into place. And still from Governor Abbott, we hear that the facilities froze over. And it's like, so what good is a wind turbine facility, or any facility for that matter, that is supposed to supply power to people in extreme temperatures if you're just going to let the facility frickin' freeze over?
Yeah, look, this is...
You don't have a good answer for me, do you?
This is late T-Boone Pickens, and they've done a lot of work in this, but so will the nation go if we embrace this crazy Green New Deal situations, because these machines, I don't know if you've ever driven up to one of them, but these things are monstrous, and there's a lot of metal, and there's really no way, actually, without making them even more exorbitantly expensive, to insulate them from freezing. They're going to freeze. And if they freeze down here, then you can imagine anywhere else. So yes, we knew, which is why I'm a fossil fuel guy. Mm-hmm. That's where I'm at. The earth gives us amazing things and we need to explore it and be responsible. But no, there's no good answer for why we didn't prepare, Sarah. But also these things, you can't back the power up. They can give you power when they're running. Right. But there's no battery technology to say, hey, we're going to build up a reserve bank of power from the wind turbines with excess power. Mm-hmm. You use it or you lose it, or it freezes and your animals suffer. So, I mean, there's no good answer.
Yeah, well, I think too we have to look at the fact that, this is like, I call it la land energy, because it's this idea of like, we're just gonna, have God give a deep breath and everyone's gonna have power. And it's like, well, maybe fossil fuels are going to run out at a certain point. Maybe they don't want to dig for new ones. But to me, this seems like sort of counterproductive, because we have at least 50 to 75 years of good fossil fuel use for our generators, for our cities. But also, if you look at right now, every gas station is full to the brim. People are filling up tanks, running generators. Everyone's using fossil fuel to compensate for what we are not getting from the wind turbines. On top of that, like in my apartment complex, it looks like we're at a drive-in movie theater. Everybody is just in their cars, just idling for 6-7 hours at a time, just sitting in them, trying to stay warm. And talk about going backwards and I don't know, the icebergs are going to melt or whatever, because, I don't even believe them, because it's like all the cars are running in Texas and the ice is still here, And they talk about these gases are getting trapped and whatnot. Fine, whatever. But I think it's something deeper. I think this is an idea of not even letting people control their own energy, not letting us control what works for us. This is about demanding that they take these people in power, take over the power grid, that they decide what the future looks like, that they can control when we do get power or when we don't. And this is like common sense. These do not work in cold climates. And they say this, well, we couldn't have prepared for this. This is a once in a lifetime moment. Well, but how can you say that while you're also crying out climate change?
Global
and you're
warming,
saying,
global warming.
but you're saying that they're going to have more severe climate crisis and more severe climate events. You're telling us things are going to be unstable in the climate while you're building things that can't stand up under unstable climates. It's a contradictory argument.
Look, this is not going to be popular for all these people, but these supplemental energy sources, solar, wind, right? They are to be put in what's called an array system, right? In an array system, you daisy chain together and it fills gaps. It should never be your main power source, ever. It should be fossil fuel and supplemental. But again, you can't store it. So when the sun is shining, great, I got power while it's shining. I can't bank it. When the wind is blowing, I got power. These things are crazy expensive to design and build the power grids. Bad on Texas for ever relying a massive amount of energy in just renewable energy and say, listen, if that thing goes down, we're kind of screwed. We have fossil fuel. The earth produces fossil fuel. She's going to continue to produce fossil fuel. This is just the whole global warming. Your argument is so good when they say, look, climate change is severe, but we're going to entrust a turbine, which is as old as time. Just go to the Netherlands, a windmill. I mean, it's forever. We're going to entrust millions of people's power completely to that grid. It's senseless, especially in the state of Texas, where we have some strong crude and a lot of fossil fuel to generate power. So anyway.
Yeah. So Rick Perry, former Department of Energy Secretary Rick Perry, was talking about all of this green energy and how it's clearly going to get people killed. Here is Rick Perry on Fox News with Tucker Carlson.
Having a diverse base load of energy is incredibly important. We started taking coal plants off. We started taking nuclear plants off. And if this country is going to continue to grow, is going to continue to have base that it's going to have to be competitive in the world, we've got to have an energy supply that is diverse, a base load that when you call on it, it's going to be there. Think about if we were in the AOC world, fast forward 10 years, and everything is solar, everything is wind, and you have this type of event, it's 9 degrees in Round Top, Texas. We're the same latitude as Houston, 9 degrees. And if you don't have power, you're gonna die. I mean, there are countless lives that could be lost with this type of reckless adhering to a philosophy that, quite frankly, is not scientific.
He brings up a great point about AOC, because this seems to be kind of a preview into the Green New Deal, Elijah.
Yep, and it's the snowdemic. This is the same mishandling, just like they said, well, we're going to get rid of a virus by shutting down the country, and it didn't really do anything at all except hurt us long term. I mean, when you look outside And I think this is where people, again, mocking Texas and saying, oh, you guys are freaking out. No, our economy is closed. I mean, you're talking about, Chick-fil-A is closed. And this like blew my mind, right? Whataburger's closed. I mean, yes, everywhere.
We're out of food.
Yeah, we're out of food. And I was just at Costco. Yeah, and the guy said, I said, where's the food? He goes, they had to reroute the trucks. The grocery stores might start running out of food in the next 24 to 36 hours. And we don't know if we're going to be able to get shipments. Yeah. He just said, so and then the roads are blocked because of the semis, so you can't get out of the area. I mean, it's saying, well, this isn't big if you're in Michigan because they're prepared for this, right. But somewhere like Texas is not. But why they're not is, whatever. But this whole power fiasco is absolutely ridiculous, especially when I'm seeing on the railroad. By the way, while we're out of power, I'm seeing a train go by with maybe 60 cars full of coal. Maybe I imagine it's coming from Houston or something going up in another state. Coal. And we're not burning it. Yeah. It's here. We have the fuel, but we're not using it.
I want to say something about Rick Perry. I was in his office, former Secretary of Energy. I was in his office, and this is a part of my life that you may not know, but I helped the Dominican Republic renew their energy because AES, an American company, runs the energy in that country. Single power monopoly, okay? And when AES decides you're paying double this month in the Dominican Republic, and all you Dominicans can attest to this, you pay double. Because so we went in and said, hey, we need to bring natural gas in and other things. And Rick Perry was a champion with Donald Trump, with OPEC, Ray Washburn and all those guys to say, hey, we need to look at the Dominican Republic and diversify energy because you made a statement earlier. You will control people when you control power. Trust me. You can control people through a mask and COVID, but when you start shutting down rolling blackouts, like what's in Africa at the moment, but they say, hey, Sarah, Tuesday you don't have power. Well, who said that? We say so, because we're just shutting it down. And now we got rolling blackouts, right, and load shedding. You are going to control. So I think there is a more nefarious play here with the Green New Deal to go to renewables, because when you have a solar farm, one hailstorm, it's off grid. You're toast. Good luck, all right? Fossil fuel. Yeah. Fossil fuel. And I know Rick Perry is a fossil fuel guy as well. And he said it. It's a combination. Sure, bring your renewables in, but it's filling the gaps, right? It's like having a spare battery, or a little pack that charges your phone when you're going. But you don't rely on that stuff. Mm-hmm. No way.
Yeah. All right. Before we go to break, let's talk really quickly. I know this was kind of news yesterday, but we weren't here yesterday, and I want to make sure to cover it. Impeachment. Trump was officially acquitted of the second impeachment trial that he was a part of. And let's see, every Democrat, of course, voted to convict President Trump, along with 7 Republicans. It was Burr of North Carolina, Cassidy of Louisiana, Collins of Maine, Murkowski from Alaska, Romney from Utah, Ben Sasse from Nebraska, and Pat Toomey from Pennsylvania. And this, of course, was to be expected, which was why last week I was like, I don't want to talk about this every day because we know what's going to happen. It finally happened, but that didn't stop Nancy Pelosi from throwing a big fit in front of everyone, making sure to be very, very in character. Here's Nancy Pelosi. Watch.
Oh, these cowardly senators who couldn't face up to what the president did and what was at stake for our country are now going to have a chance to give a little slap on the wrist. We censure people for using stationery for the wrong purpose. We don't censure people for inciting insurrection that kills people in the Capitol.
Nancy Pelosi, very mad. She's banging the podium. She's holding up her paper. She's very, very, very mad that this did not happen, that they didn't even convict Donald Trump.
Slap on the wrist.
We don't censure people.
Do the slap on the wrist. Do the slap on the wrist.
The slap on the wrist.
Hey, it doesn't hurt when you're drunk, right? You get hit. It says that in Proverbs. You get right back up. Honestly, though, but I didn't say she was drunk. I'm just saying, I've been drunk before, and I sound more like Nancy Pelosi with every shot, and that's just the kind of truth. But we
don't really know if it's the vodka or the facelifts. Who's to say? The dentures. Who's to say, really? Who's to say?
Is she even alive? Some people say that if you change the focus on the lens, you can actually see the strings on the puppet. But reality speaking, with this, I just want to say one thing before we get the narrative off here. They're going to keep saying, the Democrats, about people dying at the Capitol, which is insinuating that Trump supporters killed people. Number one, we know that as of right now, all of the people that died there at the Capitol were Trump supporters, not the police or anybody else. And also, they say, well, a lot of these people died from traumatic or medical emergencies from someone who was there, who witnessed a couple of these occur. The medical emergencies were like an officer pushing someone off the wall and then they broke their legs and arms and went into cardiac arrest type of situation. So they were actually killed. Some of these people were killed by officers, not defending them, but I'm saying the majority of people that we know died at the hands of officers. And on the other end, with the officer Sicknick, who died, and may he rest in peace, even the New York Times retracted their claim that the Trumpers killed him, and it believes that he actually died from a stroke, and they're not even sure if it happened from inhaling what's that called? The caps. So the problem is with this whole scenario is that they're saying, these Trump supporters went in, this was an insurrection, they killed people. This is the narrative they're spreading. An officer died when they hit him on the head with a fire extinguisher. But while this event is insane to even know that it happened, that's not what happened. And so they're trying to convict him based off of a narrative that isn't true. And that's why he was acquitted, because some people in Congress still stand for the truth. And they're going, look, even if a lot of Republicans never really liked him. I don't think he was ever liked by the Republican Party at all, because he's a populist leader. He's not in the establishment. That's why it was hard. But it's going to the point where they're realizing, I'm going to lose my. I think it was selfish. A lot of them are thinking, I'm not going to get reelected because a lot of people want the right thing to happen here, and I have to vote for the right choice. And so the people that voted for him, even if it was selfish, I at least salute them. And to whatever she's on, I want to try it.
All right, we've got more to come. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Omega XL. If you are living in pain, maybe you've got back pain, knee pain, shoulder pain, whatever the case may be, what you might not realize is it's probably inflammation down there that is actually causing your pain. And by the way, if you don't defeat the inflammation, it could cause permanent damage. Omega XL is backed by 35 years of clinical research, and it will attack the actual inflammation that is causing your pain, which is way better, by the way, than putting on a pain reliever or a topical rub that is just going to cover up the problem. And you're like, wow, this feels really good for the 15 minutes that I feel it. And then it totally goes away. That's not so with Omega XL. Omega XL is going to neutralize the pain that causes those stiff and achy muscles. If you are suffering with aches and pains and stiffness, you got to try it. I've tried it. I had some knee problems from a car accident that I was in ages ago. Omega XL has worked wonders for me and so many others. It can work wonders for you as well. Order Omega XL now and get a second bottle for free. Visit omegaxl.com/news. That is omegaxl.com/news. Get that second bottle for free. omegaxl.com/news. So it's funny, I was about to start this by reading a pair of fawning news articles this week. Has been a reminder of how different the tone is between when now President Biden is covered in the media versus Donald Trump. But it's not just a pair of fawning news articles. It's literally everything you hear from the mainstream media. But these are just the most recent ones that have just surfaced over the last couple of days. Of course, it was President's Day yesterday. It was yesterday, right? Yeah. I feel every day lasts a million hours now here in Dallas, so I have no idea what day it even is.
What day is it? I literally don't know.
It's Tuesday.
Okay.
Today's Tuesday.
So, but this is just the latest, just so that you can understand, if you have a family member who their main source of getting their information is from the mainstream media, I'm just going to say they're missing a lot. If they're not watching things like BlazeTV.
Cast out the devil in the name of Jesus.
They're missing a lot, because here is, and if you'll recall how President Trump was treated in the mainstream media, here is the type of things that you will see if you are reading mainstream media. Over the weekend, Joe Biden, playing as Luigi, wins in Mario Kart race against granddaughter at Camp David. Wow, that is some hard.
Can you imagine if they had a report
journalism
on Trump playing a PlayStation game? That's what they're talking about with a character.
He chose the least likable brother too, which is not surprising.
Also cultural appropriation.
Yeah.
Unless he's Italian, which I don't think he is.
No, he may claim 0.01% like Pocahontas, but I mean, what are we doing?
Yeah. So, and of course, this is my goodness, they're just like us. They sit around and play Mario Kart. Here's another one from CNN. Inside the new president's routine, Oval Office fires and early bedtimes, where, of course, they started. They're trying to, I think, my opinion, I want to get yours. They're trying to normalize Joe Biden's complete inadequacies because they see him declining and they don't want to admit it. So they're saying things like, he likes the fire. Sometimes he even adds a log himself, but he does go to bed really early. And we're supposed to be like, oh my God, that is so cute. I love it when my president goes to bed at 6 p.m. right after he's had the senior special.
Versus the guy who just left at work 20 hours a day for the American people. So if you tell me he's going to bed early, then tell me how early does he rise? Now, he's probably a 10 a.m. starter and ends the day at 6:30 p.m. by the fire.
We saw how it was when he was campaigning, which was they called a lid. Yeah, they called a lid at 8 a.m.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not cute. It's really, really kind of sad.
Scary.
But no, it's called, that's the new thing, being clown-pilled. Is like you just have to sit back and you got to laugh at this and you've got to just sit back and enjoy and realize that at least we know that he's in the Screen Actors Guild, because he's got his acting gig. He goes out, but at least he has a good out, right? Because you don't want to end up suing the guild. And you see that this is theatrics.
Yeah.
It's just theatrics.
Yeah, all of it. But by the way, here's for comparison's sake, a little headline from the coverage of President Trump. And this is tame, by the way, from CNN. Trump feeds fish, winds up pouring entire box of food into koi pond. So
Legendary.
They take something.
Legendary.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
So
I do that.
They take
I do
something.
that.
Meaning he's killing the fish. Look at him.
Yeah, they take something that should be, oh, wow, that's cute. President Trump's trying to feed the fish while he's in, where was he, Japan? Oh, he's trying to feed the fish. Oh, President Trump just killed all the fish. I can't believe he poured all the fish food inside the pond. I mean, they can't just cover him, objectively. Now, all of a sudden, we're supposed to ooh and ah over Joe Biden playing Mario Kart, which, can we please just be real for a second? He did not win. They said he won it. They said he won the Mario Kart contest in his family. He did not win.
Against his granddaughter, but my thing is he's playing his granddaughter because it's probably the only race he could be competitive in.
Yeah, but I still don't think he won.
They probably fortified the game, though, to be honest. They probably fortified all of the parameters so that he was guaranteed to win. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because that's how it works with him. And you're right. That's the only race that he can win fair and square.
It's his granddaughter.
Yeah, literally the only race.
Guys, this is like seriously alarming to me. I called this abuse in the campaign. I said Jill Biden should be looked at because they're abusing this man.
Well,
it's abuse.
Let's talk about that. So a video surfaced. Joe Biden did an interview with People, and a little snippet surfaced that apparently was not supposed to be shown to the public, so much so that it is actually at the bottom of the screen, not to be shown to public. However, it did get leaked. And if you guys want to roll this, and we can talk over it, because there's no sound. It's just Joe. Yeah, so it's just Joe. They're waiting. And Jill's looking at him kind of horrified. And Joe's just kind of looking around. And I don't think the man knows where he's at.
No, he's having a moment.
And I think Jill sees that. And you see them zoom into his eyes, and there's just nothing there. And that was 30 seconds of just.
I can't even laugh. It looks like he's having a stroke.
No, it's not good.
I mean, it looks like this man has absolutely no clue where he is.
You know what's the giveaway? Is when Jill looks at him, I don't know if they can roll that in, but when Jill looks at him, expecting him to do something like, come on, Joe, and then look there.
Right there.
He looks at him and he doesn't respond. Look at the countenance. Now, some people say, well, this is edited. No, just take that shot right there. His wife is looking. That's a wife looking at a husband expecting, come on, do something. And he is searching. His brain is literally searching for, where am I? What am I to say? This is not good, guys. This is abuse.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to be rude here, but I used to do some volunteer work in a convalescent home when I was younger. And one thing I noticed, obviously with the dentures and oral problems as you get older, there's a lot of really senile people kind of roll their lips in and kind of just sit like this. And that's what he's doing. He's just kind of in this tense sort of deteriorating mode. And it's hard because, one of the things I know people are bringing up is he's having a hard time catching his breath when he's speaking. He's having a hard time sticking on script. He's having a difficult time just pronunciating any of his words. Like he mumbles his words like this. He takes deep breaths in between, like he's belaboring, like it's something he had to rehearse and he's trying to get through it. And it's hard to watch because that this man is not the most popular president in American history. That's all I'll say. But we're supposed to believe that this is legitimate. The fact this guy is really in charge of our country, I don't buy it.
Look, I honestly believe this, right? You said earlier at Screen Actors Guild, you cast a character in a movie for a reason, okay? He was cast. They picked him for a reason. I'm telling you, the fact that Kamala is doing some of his duties at the moment, that she's doing other things, this guy was picked because they knew they could literally just lead him. Joe, you're going to play, you're going to have an amazing time, you're going to sit in the Oval Office, you're going to do some things, and we're going to run the country behind the scenes. And in a part of me looks at him and I feel sorry for the guy. I know the viewers might go, I don't feel sorry for him. He's being abused, I'm telling you.
Elder
this guy,
abuse.
It's his elder. This guy does not know. He's not cognizant 100% of the time of where he's at, Sarah. It's just evident. There's just too many occasions like this that we've seen through the campaign. And the fact that they hit him in the bunker, and you can just, Jill's eyes to me is just a giveaway. As I profile, she goes, she knows.
She looks at him and then she turns back like.
Yeah, it's like, oh my gosh, not now. Because she probably sees this 50 times a day.
Yep. Elder abuse for sure. And speaking of, you brought up Kamala. Speaking of Kamala, coming up next, Kamala Harris is now making head of state calls instead of Joe Biden. We'll get into that after the break. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Built Bar. So, by the way, that's Built Bar and not Bill Bar for some of you out there who write and they're like, why are you selling Bill Bar? I'm not selling Bill Bar, and I can guarantee you he would not taste as good as Built Bar, okay? This is healthier than whatever your favorite protein bar is. It's way better than that. They're very low calorie. They've got a lot of protein. They're low sugar. They're awesome for keto diets, which I am on. So if you are looking to perhaps lose some weight, maybe if you just are trying to cut your cravings because you go to the pantry and you get candy bars and you stuff them in your face when you're stuck at home and it's snowing and it's way too cold outside to do anything. Not that I would know anything. You need to get Built Bars in your life. If you're a chocolate lover, both of these gentlemen have tried Built Bar.
I love them.
Yes.
I honestly do.
Absolutely. Look, I'm a sports guy and I love to move. It is no joke. It's my favorite protein bar.
It's like only a little over 100 calories too, and I need to lose weight because the winter hasn't been good to this guy. But that's actually kind of giving me hope. When I tried it, I'm like, okay, I can still eat something good.
It's real chocolate.
Yeah, I can
Real
still eat
chocolate,
something good. It doesn't taste like a protein bar. So thank God. I'm really glad that whoever invented those actually took time to make them taste good.
Yeah, no, I mean, so we're not kidding. And everyone looks at me and they're like, oh, whatever, you just like
You're
healthy
the dealer.
stuff.
No, you're a drug dealer for Built Bars. She's passing them out always in her
I
in her
really
room.
am in my
Like,
dressing room.
eats them.
Here you go.
Yeah.
He eats them, for real.
All the time. I'm like, I don't think you're supposed to eat 3 a day, though. I'm not sure if I'm doing it the right
minimum
way.
5.
Yeah, they're really good. So if you're looking to cut those cravings, lose some weight, whatever the case may be, or just indulge in something and not feel guilty, you got to go to BuiltBar.com. Use promo code News20. You will get 20% off of your next order. That is News20 over at Built Bar, BUILT, bar.com. Back in a minute. So apparently, Vice President Kamala Harris is now making Joe Biden's head of state calls for him, or at least that is the insinuation from the latest report. The White House published a readout yesterday that said, readout of Vice President Kamala Harris call with President Emmanuel Macron of France. And of course, she spoke with Macron and expressed her commitment to strengthening bilateral ties between the United States and France, revitalizing the transatlantic alliance. These are all head of state issues that Kamala Harris was speaking to Macron about. And it was not just that. Harris also just recently spoke with Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Now, by the way, just to throw this in here, I don't believe either of them still have reached out to Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel. Certainly not Kamala Harris. I don't think that we need to hold our breaths for that one to happen. But I don't believe Netanyahu of Israel has heard from the United States' new administration. Whatever the case may be, perhaps Joe Biden is too busy playing Mario Kart or going to bed early to be able to take these head of state calls. But historically, these are not phone calls that the vice president makes with the head of, the head of France, the head of Canada. Joe Biden nowhere to be found on these.
I can't tell you this unequivocally, but I would be shocked if Vice President Pence spoke to a single head of state on behalf of President Trump. You speak peer to peer.
I mean, certainly when you're an incoming administration making the phone calls,
weeks,
reaching out, certainly that would be
to establish relationship.
Right.
You're going to have the number 2 do that, really? And Netanyahu won't speak to Harris. Okay, he wants to speak to the leader of the country, unless all the rumors are going to come true, where you're actually going to look at the first female president in the United States, non-elected, right, just appointed, being Harris. Something just triggered my memory on the Mario Kart thing again that I just want to go back to real quick. There may be something there because, if you have cognitive issues, you would want someone to play a game where there's multiple left brain, right brain functions. So maybe that's a little brain exercise for Joe. That's why he's playing Mario Kart so much. They're trying to keep him with it.
Maybe
they just have to bring the kindergartners in to play with him. But no, this is bad that Harris is making these calls.
Savage. I'm sorry. I know you guys are really trying to be serious, and it's not funny.
No.
But it is.
I mean, you laugh so you don't
I'm
cry.
being serious.
Right?
I know.
Well, like,
I'm being serious, legitimately serious.
It's because to me it sounds like a joke, but I know you're being serious. So
Not a
I'm just
joke.
like, I know you're not joking, and I'm going, oh my gosh, like
This is our country.
This is not out of the realm of possibilities.
No.
And I wish it was a joke, right? I wish we were just slamming him as a joke, like, oh, good old Joe's probably challenging his brain with Mario Kart. But it's like, actually, that could be a real therapy. And that breaks my
Legitimately.
heart for our nation. And also, I'm from California, and Kamala Harris was a terrible senator. I mean, you look at California right now, it's not doing too hot. But realistically speaking, it's like now you realize what California is what they want to change the country into. They want that model of people have no representation. There's a super majority. The elected officials are like ghosts and they don't really come out into the light. They crack down on all things that make sense. They bring in stupid ideas, waste money, and there's a huge, wealth gap. And that's the kind of person, if that's who we're bringing in to lead our country, that gives us a little bit of prophetic wisdom of where these global elites want to take our nation, right? And that's consolidating power into a more stronger elite class. They don't care about the people. They don't care about a black woman. I mean, wasn't she the first Indian woman senator when she won? Now she's the first black vice president.
Yes.
I don't know. I mean, it's all so crazy, but it shows you why they dumbed down the country as well. They needed Americans to be dumb, right? This all comes together. Like you talk to the average person. One of my favorite YouTubers, I'll just bring this in. He literally goes around and asks people simple questions like, what's 12 minus 5? And in the United States, and I'm going to tell you, maybe he's only choosing some people, but the fact that he can get dozens of people per video that can't answer questions like, if you were born 10 years ago, how old are you today? And things like that. And they're like, oh, 16? And like people answer, meaning this has been a strategic movement. We are seeing a lot of pieces come together. We are in end times level stuff. I rest my case.
That's the big steal here. The big steal here is not just the White House. The big steal here is not just it is literally getting Americans to agree to not think. Forfeit your right to process. Forfeit your right to think for yourself. Just get to a place, and you can actually get there. How old were you 10 years ago? And then, I mean, come on, what are we doing here?
Certainly if COVID, if they used COVID to test the American people on whether or not they were able to critically think their way out of this one, we've just failed. We've failed miserably.
F-.
Really bad. I mean, not us.
No.
But the country.
I might make an episode
Not
tomorrow.
you.
I might make one now. You actually gave me my idea for my episode. Running title: Why are Americans so freaking stupid? And I'm not. That is like not just to bash America, but to look at how has like 60%, 70% of our country. If you think about the dumbest person you know, I'm telling you, I've been talking to people on the street for a long time, and the dumbest person you know, an average American that you're talking about when it comes to politics and these things, has no clue of what's going on. And I'm not talking about that person who's smart, who just doesn't like politics and is, I don't want to get involved, or the person who's just too busy with their work and their business to really know what's going on. I mean, there is this next generation of people. I was, believe it or not, a youth pastor for like 5 years. I know that's crazy, but it's like I've dealt with a lot of these students, and I dealt with them face to face, and I would ask them, how did you get like this? Like, where did your thinking go? You're not just a teenager. You know, back a few decades ago, you were expected to be a man at like 12 or 13. In the Jewish community, they still have that. Why in America do we have nothing where people become adults? There's no age where you become a man or a woman anymore. There's no hard lines in our society of when you're expected to have responsibility. Adolescence goes up into your 30s now. I mean, we are in an actual controlled world where we're supposed to want wind turbines while they're freezing, and we're supposed to pretend like that's not happening. We have a president who's in cognitive decline.
It's altered reality.
Yeah,
it's complete altered reality.
And if you question, you get deleted.
Yeah,
if you question it, you're a conspiracy theorist, and you're dangerous, and you might invade the Capitol building too. So don't question us, or else we're going to flag you as being a danger to society, and that's where we're headed.
Yeah, no.
Amen. All right, we've got more to come. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Patriot Mobile. If you have not heard, Patriot Mobile has just expanded their coverage, so it's going to make it even easier for those of you who are not yet with Patriot Mobile. If you have not yet switched over, it's going to be super easy for you to dump whatever big name carrier you have that is charging you way too much money, and then taking a portion of your hard-earned money and donating it to left-leaning causes that you work so hard to fight against. Patriot Mobile will never send a penny to the left. They are not going to silence you. They are, by the way, America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. We look so often at, Hollywood. They're trying to cancel Gina Carano, and now she's finding, refuge with the Daily Wire. If you believe in these values, if this is your moral compass, if this is your culture, you have to put your money where your mouth is. Right now, you can switch with confidence. They use the same network as the larger providers, but they're charging much less. Switching is very easy, by the way. It's 2021. You can keep your phone number if you want. You can get a new one if you want. You can bring your own phone over to Patriot Mobile, or you can get a new phone if you want. However you prefer, you can build your own bundle with multi-line discounts and save even more. Go to patriotmobile.com/news to check out all of their discounts and their plans. That is patriotmobile.com/news. This month you will get free Premier activation and a special gift if you use offer code NEWS. That is patriotmobile.com/news, patriotmobile.com/news. Back in a minute. So the Democrats are basically holding kids hostage, and we're seeing this in Chicago. We're seeing this, San Francisco. We're seeing this in Democrat-run cities where teachers' unions are finding it more important to sit around and try to negotiate instead of getting the kids back in school, even though we've seen record high mental health ER visits to all of these hospitals in the area. Kids are in a really bad place. I want to get your thoughts on both of those things, guys, but I also would just like to throw this into the conversation. The Democrats in the mainstream media do this really cute little thing where anytime the Democrats do anything wrong, of course, Republicans are pouncing on the opportunity, or, Republicans are seizing the moment. Now, we hear from Politico, they're not reporting on the Democrats' just abject failure to get kids into school and seeing the kids suffer. They're reporting on the GOP, who is trying to weaponize pandemic-exhausted parents against Biden. So
I got dizzy from that spin.
Right? That's what I'm just like, what? So GOP tries to weaponize pandemic-exhausted parents against Biden. Or, I'm just going to throw this out there, you guys. You let me know if this is just way off base. Or parents just care about their children and see their children suffering and don't want them to suffer and want to get them back in school. I don't know. Call me crazy.
Look, this may be a bomb, and if I take heat for this, so be it. But this is just a fact. This is not the only way Democrats, or those on the left, like to see children suffer, okay? This is consistent. This is consistent in our country. Silence from the White House on trafficking, couldn't care less about. We have heard nothing, by the way, and we would be on calls twice a month with the White House for the last 4 years about trafficking. They don't care about kids. One of the worst things I've ever seen in my life, and I come from a family of teachers. My mom is a 44-year school teacher, right, is this whole concept of tenure in this country, where you have buildings in 2002, 2005 with with teachers sitting in a building, literally playing games, not teaching because they made tenure. It's the sickest, most corrupt establishment, I think, in our country. One of the most sick is the education system, where a teacher is more important than a student. No, other way around. The kid is always more important. Always. The child is always more important. Parents are exhausted. Collateral damage is through the roof. Child suicide, by the way, is an epic high at the moment. Depression,
Yeah, let me throw those numbers out there, actually. In Las Vegas, a surge in student suicides led Clark County, Nevada, to return to student in-person learning. San Francisco City is suing its own school board for refusing to reopen schools, citing rising suicide attempts. The AP reported that University of California, San Francisco local hospital, Children's Hospital, has seen a 66% increase in the number of suicidal children in the emergency room and a 75% increase in youth who required hospitalization for mental services.
Listen to the numbers here. We're talking about a 99.97% survival rate on COVID. Talk about a 75% increase, 66% increase in suicide attempts. This is catastrophic. Not a word from the left, not a word from the president. Right? Zero. Because kids don't matter in this country. They don't care.
I mean, that's a great point from Jaco, not just talking about the sex trafficking, but if they don't care about them when they're in the womb, how can we expect Democrats to care about them once they are now out?
Well, they don't care about them once they're adults either. And that's the key thing. They see people as a unit, and a unit that can be moved around for political gain. And
traded.
So, exactly. So this is a matter of power, and there's not a lot of value in children. There's not a lot of value in babies, right? But the babies are one thing, but then the children, it's like, well, if we can use them to get what we want, and which is a madness. I know that parents are exhausted, that this distance learning isn't working, and I wish that everyone was in a position where they could just homeschool their kids. I know that's not an easy solution for a lot of people, and also, to be frank, not everybody is bright enough to teach their kids. And so that's why we had schools in the first place, was because parents wanted their kids to have a better education than they did.
Specialized trainer.
Yes, so that they could get ahead. Well, what we're seeing is the exact same pattern everywhere. The only people that can get a good education right now are the elite and the wealthy class, who are skyrocketing and are going to make gains in ways we don't even know ahead of the average working middle class, because there's going to be a year or two gap in intellectual capacity between the two groups. And this is a really sad way to do a big F you into the face of the people who pay the taxes and fund the government. These people that are doing this are fascists. They know they're fascists. They like to be fascists. And as Mike Cernovich recently said, that's the point. It's to be fascist, to have the control, exert it, and to make you feel bad because you notice it and there's nothing you can do about it. It's just to push their boot down on your neck and just say, hey, we have power, we're flexing.
Do you know the conclusion I've come to, Sarah, is this? An infant in the womb can't vote. A child can't vote. They're all about the vote. But the mother can vote. So if we tell her, you've got rights, kill the baby, slaughter the child, I'm going to win her vote. Open the border because those people can vote. They're not legal, Mr. President. Doesn't matter. I'm going to allow them to vote. Keep me in office. Keep me in office. And a child can't keep a president in office. So you give the mom the ability to go insane and murder, slaughter a baby in the womb at any stage. And once the child is born, forget about them. Why? Because the union can vote. They can vote. So let's give the power to the teacher because the child can't vote. And when that child turns 18, that child is so disassociated, is so disfranchised. Now we're just going to indoctrinate them in college because now they can vote again. So we're going to give them what? Everything free. We're going to give you it all free. Don't worry, we robbed your life from you, but we'll restore it, Elijah. We'll give you free health care and free. It's all about keeping them in office. It's about the vote.
And to Jaco's point really quickly, and then we have to take a break. Teachers unions in 2019 to 2020 donated more than $43 million to political causes. So there you have it. Back in a minute.
Yeah, I'm sure those were all Republican causes.
Yeah, 100,000 of it was Republican.
Really?
Yeah. Okay, for those of you who have not yet done so, make sure to go and subscribe to the audio podcast wherever you get your audio podcasts. Subscribe, rate, and review. You may see your review read live on air. We've got some for you today. One is from Brian Nuisance Stelter. I absolutely love listening, watching to the show every day. Not only does it provide facts, but humor to go along with it. When Sarah called Helter Stelter a big girl the other day, I lost it. Whoops. Tend to do that sometimes. Sorry about that, Brian. No, I'm not. Every guest is insightful and well-informed. Never have I watched an episode and not had an entertaining guest. Also bought some Built Bars due to Sarah's overwhelming endorsement of them, and my wife and I have thoroughly enjoyed them. I told you guys, I'm not making this up. They really are the best. You got to go get some. All right, one more really quickly from Polish Blast. Absolutely love this show. It's always so entertaining, and I love the guests. It keeps me up to date with current events with relevant and trustworthy commentary. Love to end my day with your show. Thank you so much, Polish Blast. By the way, don't be surprised if you see us coming at you tomorrow. Maybe in the same clothes. I don't know.